Welcome to the Inherent Identity Podcast, a place where you can learn the secrets to living as the best version of you. It's not about changing, it's not about becoming, it's about remembering. It's about recovering what you've always had within you, but you just keep getting distracted and you just keep forgetting. Join me, your host, Tyson Bradley, as we discover the practical steps for easily and effortlessly creating a lifestyle that lasts. Hello, everybody. This is the sick version of Tyson with his low voice. And, it's kind of fun sometimes when you have sickness, because I've always been a tenor in terms of singing. And so when I get the chance to be sick, then I can actually sing some low notes. I, like to hum some low note songs, and I feel cool doing so. And so there's always a benefit, always I guess something to look forward to when I have this low voice. Maybe I can do like the radio show host or the movie trailer in a world. Oh man, see, that sounds so good. Oh, okay. Let me get into this because I want to share a few stories, connect a few recent experiences that I think could be pretty profound for you and change the way that you see things and actually lead you to becoming who you really are. And as you know, this podcast is more so about remembering the truth of who we really are. And that when we do that, we actually are able to connect more. We're able to live according to our values. We're able to create instant change that is long lasting. We can create change that is easy and effortless. And so I believe I may have shared this story before, but it's such a good example, and there are other elements that I'll tie into this. But I went to Funnel Hacking Live. I think this was in 2020, and in the among the speakers was a man by the name of Tom Bilyeu, and he runs a organization and he does a lot of great interviews called Impact Theory. And so he spoke about failure, and he talked about how artificial intelligence, so pretty much these machines or computer programs where they can learn from their mistakes and just learn from all the data that they collect, that they're able to learn quickly, adapt, and then succeed very quickly. And essentially, and you can actually look this up online. You might type in like AI playing Flappy Bird. And what you'll see in this video is you'll see this little like game where the goal is to try and get this little bird to go through these, I guess gaps in the walls. And the idea is you just want to keep going through the different gaps, and they keep getting harder and smaller and more narrow, and it almost becomes impossible. But the thing about in artificial intelligence, kind of software, is that what ends up happening is that it'll play the game and it will lose. And it will play the game again and it will lose. But then it will adjust. And it will say, okay, that way didn't work. Let's try that again. Let's tweak something to see if we can actually succeed. So it'll play it again and again and again. And the thing is that it will play it like hundreds of times, and it will do this very quickly. And so with each failure, it learns and then adjusts. And it keeps learning, adjusting, until eventually, and this actually doesn't take long, within 5 to 10 minutes, the computer program has perfected the game, like zero mistakes. It just is able to go through all of this so quickly, so easily, so effortlessly. And all of that is because it learned from its mistakes. And so when Tom Billieu was talking about this idea, he said, failure is the most data rich resource we have. And I remember sitting there in the audience thinking, oh man, like that's so true. You know, and everyone talks about this. Like they'll say, I learned more from my failures. I learned more from my mistakes. I learned more from the hardships of life and the challenges. And so the thing is, a lot of times we run away from those challenges. I also remember a time when I was in this group facilitating or just supporting a group that was all about making $100,000 in a coaching business. And this was put on by Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School, and there was kind of a conversation on failure. And I remember sitting there, just observing this all, and there's some comments made. I think one uh, by Corinne Crabtree, just about how the more you fail, or the quicker you fail, and the bigger that you fail, the more you and the more you learn, and the more you can adjust, and the quicker you grow. And that was kind of the experience. That was kind of the takeaway. Is just this idea of go big, fail big, learn big, and grow big. Because if the most learning comes from the failures, then we may as well fail big and then learn big. And I don't mean like you go and spend $30,000 on and fail at that thing, and then I don't know. Anyways, it's just this idea that all this learning comes from the hardships. So segue that into my morning conversation that I just had with my wife. And I'll have you know that everybody complains. Everybody does. And everybody worries. Everybody doubts. Everybody fears. It's a normal part of this life. And I used to get really upset, or I just used to get really bothered by my wife complaining. And that kind of changed this morning, because I want to let you know just like what happened. So I recently went on a trip to Las Vegas, and my in-laws came down. So my wife's parents came down and to our house, and they were staying with us, and her brother and came down with his wife. And so they were here, and it was awesome, and we got to spend time with them. And there were times in which people shared plans, like out of nowhere, of places they want to go, and so then we're just like, wait, I thought this, and I thought that, I thought this was going to be different. And the thing is, whenever anybody has an expectation of how things should go, and this is the way we have expectations, we think that things should go a certain way, and then when they don't, what is always brought up is frustration, because the thought is things should have gone this way, but it didn't happen that way. Or things shouldn't have gone this way, and they did happen that way. And I've talked about this before, but I want to bring it up here because we complain. We get frustrated. We think things should happen. And that's exactly kind of what happened over this past weekend. And one of the things that shouldn't have happened but did was that a lot of us got sick. I mean, I got sick, and obviously, and my mother-in-law got sick, and at the beginning of them being here, like my father-in-law was sick, and so and my wife was sick. So it's just like we didn't want that. That wasn't our intention, that wasn't the expectation, but it happened. And it brought up frustration because we think that things should be different than they are. Now, I'm talking to my wife this morning, and we're talking about just the things that we wish were different, but didn't happen. And how we wish other people were different than how they showed up. And, you know, I would normally be upset and frustrated about this because, right? Because normally we think we shouldn't complain, and they are, or we are. We should be grateful, right? We should always look at the bright side of things. We should think positive thoughts. Never heard that before, right? We should be happy, and we're not. So we have all these expectations, we have all these shoulds, and instead of, freaking out about that or thinking that there's something wrong with complaining, we can use this principle of failure being the most data rich resource we have. So I'll just switch this and saying that complaints are the most data rich resource we have. And you might say, wait, what? What? Yeah. So let me expound on this. So I'm talking with my wife, and we're talking about all the things that we wish were different or would have gone differently. And the thing about this experience is, here's what it reveals. It reveals what we really want. One of the little things that we talked about was, just to make this more clear and real, is we noticed that, it's just like, ideally, what we would have wanted to happen is our dishes in the sink were always cleaned. And that, and that if anybody were to pass by, if they're in-laws, or if anybody, it's like, it would have been nice if they would have, cleaned the dishes without us asking them or whatnot. It's like, but the thing is, people are different. And sometimes some people, they wait for the dishes until they're like, stacked high, and then they'll put them all in the dishwasher at one go and clean them in one sitting when the sink is full. But for Morgan and I, we like our sink like clean and empty like all the time. If there's dishes in there, then that's a problem. Or at least we just don't like it. We like the sink to be clean. And so here's what that reveals to us, right? It reveals to us we didn't like the fact that there was, dishes in there and that they weren't addressed when we wanted them to be, or that whatever. And what we do like, though, is that we like it to be clean. And so it reveals to us what we want. And when we know what we want, we know who we are. And so now all of a sudden, we take this really simple learning. We take this really simple complaint, and we can use it to understand who we really are. We can use it to be able to say, I'm a person that loves a clean sink. I'm a clean sink person. And we could identify with that. And the thing is, I bet you money that if we start identifying as that, we're going to have a clean sink more most of the time. And that when there is dishes in the sink, we're not going to be complaining about doing them as much, because we're identifying as people that are just like, oh, well, I'm a clean sink. I don't know. I'm a clean sink person. Just trying to think of something alliteration because I just love it. I'm a clean sink cleaner, but that's the thing. And, something else that we also noticed was that we didn't like how there was unclear communication concerning where people wanted to be and where they wanted to go and when they wanted to go. And so what does that reveal? It reveals that we like clear communication. We like knowing what's happening. We like having a plan and agreeing to that plan, and everybody to know what it is that it's like that everyone's doing, so that we just or have an understanding. So, wow, okay, then we are clear communicators. That's who we are. That's what we do. And all of a sudden, it's like it's revealing who we are. Now I have this. I have a coach. His name's Andrew Thorne, and I remember him saying in a in one of our coaching sessions, because I think I may have been complaining about something, or even like judging something, or noticing that I judge people in a certain way. And he said that within his, because he's been in the consulting world quite a bit, um, and one of the things that they would say is like, if you see it, then you got it. So, in other words, one of the things that I often see is this idea. I judge people on like teaching, on the way that they teach things. And so it's like, if I'm judging someone based upon how they teach or how they act or how they show up in the world, then there's likely some aspect of this that I'm either self conscious of or that I struggle with. So if I'm judging people on their teaching, then that is something that I'm self conscious of. That's something that is important to me or that I think is important to do well at. And if I think it's something that it's important to do well at, then that might reveal a little bit more about who I am. Why is it that I care about teaching? Why is it that I care about my, like, I think about my mom and and it's like her concern over like um the way that other people look or the way that she looks, and she wants to look nice, and so it's like that's something she cares about. And so um what is it for you? What is it that you complain about? What is it that you judge? What is it that you are um always like thinking about? And instead of staying in the mud of your complaints, the idea is that we use these experiences of life, we use these complaints, we use these judgments to learn about ourselves. Don't stay in the mud. And that's what I was talking with my wife this morning about. It's like, okay, yeah, it's fine that we complain. What if it's fine that we complain? We just like allow ourselves to complain, we allow ourselves to judge, and but there's the step 2 part of it. It's like, okay, let's complain, and then let's learn about who we really are from those complaints, from those judgments. Let's add the additional insight and knowledge and understanding. Let's get it out of our system. Let the brain rattle off all of its stuff and use that as the material in which to connect to our heart. Because there must be a reason why we're so passionate about even expressing these things. Why it's so important for us to vocalize it to the whole world, to say, isn't this annoying? Don't you think it's so frustrating that this happens? Don't you think it's so dumb that this is going on? And we try and connect on these complaints with other people. And instead of using the complaints to like dwell in the unhelpfulness of it all, we use it to reveal what is helpful. Through your unhelpful thinking, you actually reveal the helpful thinking. Through the mud of life, you learn what is cleanliness. Through the opposition, you learn what is right for you. So, all this is to say that there is power in using these things to discover yourself. And it's something that I am going to continue to explore. Those things that are frustrating to me, those thoughts that are unhelpful, those things that I do not enjoy, so that I can take the flip side understand what this means about what I do enjoy, and thus what it means about who I really am. And then all of a sudden, I'm changing. I'm like creating an identity around what I really love and what I really want. And you might even get, I think they call it meta. It's like a layer deeper. And I might ask myself, do I like complaining? Or is it frustrating that I find myself complaining? And if that's the case, then we might ask ourselves, it's like, oh, it's so frustrating. It's like I keep complaining about life. Then maybe that's not who you really are. Maybe who you really are is someone who doesn't complain, someone who seeks for the good, someone who sees the good in others instead of judges them for what they lack. So I just want to leave that with you, that you don't need to beat yourself up for any of it. And the thing is, even if you do beat yourself up, ask yourself, do I like how this feels to beat myself up? Do I like this life, or a life where I beat myself up, I complain, and I judge? Do I like it? Do I find joy in it? And if not, it's like, okay, we don't need to beat ourselves up. We can just learn from it. We can just say, okay, I don't like that. Well, what do I like? Well, I like it when I just live life without worry, without concern. Then that's who you really are. And let's create an identity around that. And if you need help with this, and this is the thing, is like, in part, it's hard for us to really identify all the times when we are complaining and frustrated about the things in life, which is why you need a coach, which is why it's helpful to get a coach, which is why I have a program called the Inherent Identity Family, where you can get coached. I can coach you, and you can have it for free. It's a 2-week trial. You come to inherentidentity.com and sign up for that 2-week free trial, and I can start helping you uncover and learn about who you really are. Start creating more joy in your life, actual joy, instead of the humdrum, like, regular life that you are living. Like, let's make it amazing. So if you're in for that and you want to stop you want to learn from your life's experiences, then come and join us at the Inherent Identity Family. All right, my friends, have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, do you want to create your best life? Do you want to live into it? If that's you, I want you to come and check out inherentidentity.com. This is the place where you get to learn the easy and effortless way to living into your dreams. So once again, come check out inherentidentity.com. We'll see you there.